some advice about women. I'm an expert at this. I only speak on that which I have extreme knowledge on. No, in all seriousness, nobody has the instruction manual for women, no matter how much experience you get. But you have to get experience, and then you get a sense for really clear body language, which is sometimes hard to interpret. That's the most important thing. It's hard, man. I wish you luck. I think each age group is different. Eventually, women around your 20s start focusing on money. That's just my experience. Before then, they don't really care about money. I would say it's more about clout and your looks and things like that. And those things never fully go away, but money starts to sort of take over as what's important. But confidence is like, there's things like confidence that are really, really critical. You're confident in who you are. Women will find that attractive. So there's a lot of elements to that, but I'm not a pickup artist. There's plenty of content for that. But I'd say, women understand and appreciate intellect. Contrary to popular belief, they do want guys that like them and care about them, not the guy that treats them like crap. Negging is not my strat, but negging can work. Some guys like to neg, but it doesn't mean you treat them like crap. Negging is kind of a playful teasing if it's done correctly. Be yourself, just be confident in who you are. Don't feel envious of anybody. Just be really proud of who you are, and the rest kind of will fall into place. And practice. Talk to as many women as you can. That's the key. Once they stop intimidating you and you start feeling comfortable in your own skin, it gets easy. Another key point here that kind of is important to keep in mind is they need men as much as men need them, right? So nobody has an upper hand here. That's just something to keep in mind. I think a lot of guys who are younger, maybe some of you who are older too, you feel like, oh, what does Sydney Sweeney want to do with me? I'm stupid old me. Well, maybe not Sydney Sweeney, but there's plenty of women who, they're looking for a man, and that's it. So sometimes you see a guy with a really ugly guy with a really beautiful woman, and you say, what the heck? How is this possible? Well, the answer is, there's a lot of women who need a man. They just want a man, any man. You can be that any man. You don't always get your dream guy or your dream girl in that case. So, get your foot in the door. That's my advice. Hope it helps. But confidence is key. More and more women want a so-called alpha male. You don't have to go overboard. With that stuff, but I do think, the era of the manly man is back, and it doesn't mean that you're, got the biggest muscles or anything. It's more about your assertiveness, and, women want a guy that's decisive. Sometimes they want a guy who will order food for them, make decisions. They want to be pampered sometimes, not always. Depends on the girl. Every girl's different. But I do think, women do transition to a point where they want a man who will care for them, maybe while they give birth and become a mother. It'd be nice to have all the things taken care of so they don't have to work, and they might look at you and say, this is the kind of guy that can make this happen. Or they might look at you and say, this broke-ass, bitch-ass culero doesn't have the money and he can't take care of me. They want you to buy nice things and they want you to do all that stuff. So you got to show that you are worth investing in. You know, women will make that estimation. They'll look at you and say, this guy's going to, in 5-10 years, this guy's going to be the president of his own company. And they might look at you and say, in 5-10 years, this guy will probably be dead or in jail. Or they might say in 5 or 10 years, this guy's just going to be a loser. And I don't want to be with a loser. But again, if women are looking for what works right now, you know, and you may not necessarily want to be around those types of women, but to the extent you do, basically they just care about your pecs and your biceps. And if you go work on those every day, you'll be fine. But you got to work on them every day. And honestly, the ugliest guy in the world can get laid just off that. And it's not hard. Doesn't matter what your race is, doesn't matter what your face, your race. Go work on those pecs, work on those biceps, and you will be fine. Of course, don't work on those. Don't need to. But for the men that are struggling with women, it's basically a surefire way. Women just they can't resist it. And it doesn't take that much time, maybe an hour a day. And then it's maintenance once you get there. If you do an hour a day, you're going to see the difference, and you're going to see women looking at you like this. When you walk by, they're going to go, you can't miss it. I'm going to say, what's that? And it'll make you feel happy. It'll make you feel confident. Do men only care about looks? Yes and no. Men are bizarre. We do care a lot about looks, but we also care about whether a woman is sort of fun and bubbly, or like what kind of attitude they have. Really pretty girls can be really dull and boring and kind of like, if they're bitchy or they have that RBF or just kind of a stern, closed attitude, can be really a turnoff. But guys like different things. Personally, I like a woman who's fun, just fun and not bothering me about stuff. You know, really easygoing and kind of chill. A lot of women don't realize sometimes they're not doing that, and sometimes it's a power struggle in a relationship, and you embody the struggle in your attitude. And instead of communicating assertively, you kind of communicate passive-aggressively. And that's the way relationships break down. So I think guys like attitude maybe even more than looks. If you gave me a chick who had a really positive attitude, was fun to be around, like always cool, I'd like to be around that more than the prettier girl. And even when it comes to like sexiness, like and stuff like that, like there is an art to that, like being able to flirt and do stuff like that. It's not a given, you know. It takes a little bit of skill, you know. So some women think just because they're beautiful, that's all it takes. No, it takes more than that just to turn a guy on. Sometimes you got to kind of be. I don't know what to say, but there's an art to it. What's the old saying, maybe that sums it up right? Geek in the streets and freak in the sheets, something like that. That's kind of the good mantra for women. I don't know anything about snooze. I also think there's a limit to how much money and how focused you are on money too. Like, all else being equal, everyone wants to be rich. But I think there's a lot of women that would also want you to be a good father too. If you have this weird obsessive compulsive need to make money and that's what you're showing to a potential partner, like for example, like I have time maybe 1 day a week for women, maybe. That's really not conducive to a successful relationship, and I know that, which is why you don't see tons of girls around me, and I could easily snap my fingers and be drowning in women, but it's not what I'm optimizing for. I'm not looking for that. I'm looking, to make yet another successful startup. And maybe another year or two, I'll have more time for other things. But for now, that's not my focus. And women care about that. It's not fair to a woman. Now they can stand by you while you build your business or something like that. But it's people need attention. Just like my cat comes around and meows and I scratch her head and then she's happy and she goes and sleeps for 8 hours. Every living being needs that. Women, men, everyone. So it's not that responsible if you can't pay attention to them and do stuff like that. And a lot of younger people have that issue, so that's why a lot of younger relationships are based around sex, and they're pretty meaningless kinds of relationships. But everyone's lonely and wants to be around somebody, so it's perfectly normal. I think a lot of guys lowering your standards, maybe it's like the best way to put it, but as you get older, you realize getting the prettiest girl in the world is really not going to make you happier. I think, obviously if you're disgusted by somebody, you probably shouldn't pursue them, but, a lot of the best relationships I've been in are not the chicks you'd find to be the prettiest. You might look at a binder of my ex-girlfriends, you might say, oh wow, she's so pretty, and then you might say, what were you thinking with that one? And if you ask me to go back and say, well, which of these did I regret maybe not being with now or whatever, it's probably a lot of girls that you wouldn't expect. And my advice is to actually give people a chance. I hate to use numbers because it's a terrible way to do it, but just in the looks department, if the 5 wants a date with you and the 8 wants a date with you, go on both dates. Don't say, oh, I'm too good for this girl or something like that. I don't think that's a healthy way to do it. See what it's like, You might end up really liking them. And yeah, for every man, there's a woman. For every 3, there's another 3 out there. And, you might pull a 7 as a 3 and a 7 and vice versa, So it's not like that's the only dimension. Again, Donald Trump met Kamath's wife and he gave the whole joke. He said, you must be very, very rich. Or he must be very, very rich, implying, that the only way Kamath could get a woman that beautiful was if he was very rich, and happens to be true in that case. But there's always a way. Again, there's a lot of ugly guys who they're really ugly, but if they really fit, there's a lot of women that can't resist that. Yeah, don't want to be around the girl that has tons of male friends. I agree with that one. He's so chill, though. That means he's gonna fuck him, ASAP. He's like my best friend. Oh yeah, that's right.